Hello and welcome. Welcome to Everything is Energy and welcome to the Capricorn new moon, which is exact on January 18th, 2026 at 11:52 a.m. Pacific time. Now, while all new moons are thresholds of initiation, times for planting seeds, this new moon is particularly active and consequential. It might feel a little bit dense, but it's a consequential and potent initiation. The core themes that we're going to be feeling, and I'll get into the details here in just a moment, but we're going to be reviewing old structures. We're going to be choosing what we carry forward. And we're going to be planting pragmatic and future facing seeds. And so I mentioned that it might feel dense or energetically intense, and that's simply because there's a lot of moving parts that I'll get to. Um, there might be a feeling of urgency and responsibility, but it's not necessarily reactionary. It's about staying true to ourselves. And, Capricorn is a long term, steady energy. So this is not necessarily a soft new moon, but it is a deeply purposeful one. So, one of the most outstanding aspects that we have during this new moon is we have so many planets conjunct this new moon. So, while the new moon, the sun, and the moon are conjunct at 28 degrees of Capricorn, we also have a stellium of planets that include Mercury and Mars at that same space. So, a stellium really just means that there's an extra potent dose of Capricorn energy. And so the sun and the moon are the lunation itself. It's about syncing up our internal and external realities. Mercury is not just everyday communication. Mercury is about our mind. It's about our language. It's about planning. It's also about the ways that we communicate beyond words. And Mars, which is actually exalted in Capricorn, is going to bring the drive, the will, and the action. But it's worth noting that they're all gathered at the anaretic degree of Capricorn. This is a late, mature degree of this sign. And this is going to bring with it a sense of culmination, a sense of wisdom gained through experience. Capricorn is cardinal feminine earth ruled by Saturn. So there's going to be this sense Saturnian that we've been here before. But karmically speaking, now we're going to choose differently. And while in many respects in astrology, Capricorn is considered a sign of the past, it's at this new moon. And part of this conjunction also includes Aquarius. So, Capricorn in general is systems and institutions and our inner sense of authority, the ways that the strategies we have for our survival. And this is especially potent because Pluto, which is also involved in this amazing stellium, which I'll continue to get to. Pluto is at the very early degree of Aquarius, and Pluto just passed through these degrees of Capricorn. That was the story of 2024 and 2025. And this Pluto is shaking the structures. And so, Pluto is still showing us which structures are worn out or hollow or no longer quite as aligned as they may have been, and maybe are due for some alignment and revamping. So this is a strategic reorientation. This new moon is asking us what structures actually support life. What structures support the bright, beautiful new world that we are individually and collectively birthing. Also, in terms of our future visions, what plans are realistic in if Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, we're not idealizing here. We're really asking to create in this world. And also, part of the question is, how are we being asked to evolve and mature without becoming rigid? So in this stellium, I mentioned that we have, Mercury and Mars. And so this together, that means that thought and action are going to be fused, that the words we speak can carry consequence, and that the decisions that we make under this new moon during this lunar cycle can have long tails, can have longevity and ripple effect. So, with Mars being active, it's important to remember that we would do well, we'd be well served to sort of check or review any impulse to push and really to take action, but to choose intentional action over any kind of reactive force. We also have in this super conjunction 3 planets in the very early degrees of Aquarius, and that's Venus, Pluto, and Vesta. And so Venus being at the first degree of Aquarius is still, she's reminding us that Venus Mars conjunction that I mentioned during the last full moon, that notion of rebalancing divine feminine and masculine within ourselves, this theme carries forward into this new moon. So, the theme is integration. Just like the yin yang sign, ideally, we're both equally harmonized embodiments of both masculine and feminine beyond our physical gender. This is just about holding the polarity and being the balance that we're seeking. And so, Venus and Mars, this conjunction is within this larger stellium, but this is about desire and action. This is about receptivity, Venus, and initiative, Mars. But this is also about our relationship to how we're embodied, our relationship to how we effort, how we achieve, and our relationship to power. So key things for us to consider with this energy during this new moon is how do we act when we're in alignment with our values? Mars is the action point, but Venus is the scales of justice, right? And this isn't about dominance. This is about coherence. This isn't about submission. This is about coherence. And I mentioned we also have, we have 3 planets. We have Pluto, Venus, and Vesta in early Aquarius. So this is kind of providing a bridge between the past and the future. If Capricorn tends to have a little bit more of an energy of the past, it's not stuck there by any means. Aquarius tends to have a very much a future-oriented energetic. So while Capricorn planets are inviting us to review the old with our present energetic eyes and our heart. And the Aquarius planets are really seeding the future. They're bringing in the energy of the collective field. And they're bringing the themes of innovation and liberation and repatterning. And Pluto's been in early Aquarius for a few months now. But this is just the very early days of a long transformation that we're going to go through individually and collectively with Pluto and Aquarius. And this is about power shifts and also about technological evolution, social and communal evolution. And again, this new moon, I'm going to say it has a long tail because there's this kind of subtle but irreversible sense of beginning. And with Venus and Vesta together in Aquarius, they're very harmonious. They both want devotion to truth. They both want, commitment to community and to shared values. And, those shared values are very much informed by what is best for the collective. And any relationships, whether they be intimate or casual or interpersonal or work related, this is about, integrity as well as individual freedom. So this new moon is not just personal, even though it is deeply personal. This is about our relationship as a part of the collective. So, some of the themes here with this Pluto, Venus, Vesta, we're still talking about the same spot in the astrological chart. All these planets are just scrunched up together, and they're all a part of this new moon. So the questions might be, what am I building that others can stand on? What future am I quietly pledging allegiance to? And so I'm going to shift gears here a little bit and talk about a really wonderful, fortunate aspect. We have Uranus at the latter degrees, the anaretic degrees of Taurus. And Uranus is trining and in mutual reception with Venus. And I'll get to what that means in a second. But, Uranus is the lightning bolt, and here it's potentially going to act as a major energetic accelerator. The lightning bolts, the flashes of change remind us that sometimes it's not for us to choose. But also, it doesn't mean that we're losing control. This can be a very supportive change, because if it's not for us to choose, it also means we can relinquish the notion that we have to do it all ourselves, or that it is all on us as individuals. So this Uranus trining, and Uranus is trining pretty much all of the planets in that stellium, especially the Sun and Mercury and Mars, but Venus is right there too. So, and Uranus and Taurus, this is about the evolution of our values. This is about the evolution of our resources. And, Taurus is also associated with our physical body and our earth-based comforts and our sense of earth-based stability. So the changes that are likely, the realizations that are likely coming up are potentially about those themes. And then we also have, I mentioned, there's a sense of mutual reception. And mutual reception is something that happens in astrology when each planet that's aspecting each other is actually in the sign that the other planet is ruling. So Venus is in Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius, and then Uranus is in Taurus, and Venus rules Taurus. So this is sense of extra flow of energy, extra simpatico energy. And this is kind of a rare harmony here for us between freedom and love, innovation and embodiment. We don't need to lose ourselves to ride the wave of all the new things that are coming. And so this is about change that actually feels nourishing. The lightning bolt of change, Taurus is really going to help us stay. The bull is like just helping us root down as we're moving through these times of transformation. And the key message here with this aspect is that the future doesn't have to be harsh. It can be beautifully new, and with Uranus involved, it can be beautifully strange. And this is a really good time, this lunation in general, but if we're planting seeds, there's might be some intuitive nudges, downloads that we get, flashes of insight around money or work or home or relationships. All of those things are kind of in the mix with this aspect. We also have all of those planets that I mentioned, that super duper stellium in Capricorn and Aquarius. They're also sextiling Neptune and Saturn, as Neptune and Saturn are still conjunct at the anaretic degrees of Pisces. Saturn's at 27 degrees, Neptune's at 29. And so a sextile is sort of similar to a flow, a trine. It's a flow of energy. But here with Saturn and Neptune involved, this is about, really spiritually grounding our vision. With Saturn and Neptune at the anaretic degrees, this might be about dissolving illusions. It might be about closure or wrapping up loose ties. It might also be about spiritual maturity. But with all those things, this sextile is offering us support. We're going to feel like we have our wits about us. But also, sextiles offer integration. And sextiles tend to offer, instead of a pressured energy, there's a gentleness. And I've mentioned before that the Saturn Neptune conjunction, Saturn and Neptune are interesting partners as they're headed in February. They're going to hit in 0 degrees of Aries and be exactly conjunct. I'll have a whole podcast on that. But dreaming plus discipline. Neptune's the dream, Saturn's the discipline, and faith with form. Neptune wants us to imagine anything's possible, and Saturn really wants, as I mentioned, to help us ground it down. And Neptune is also going to help us to have compassion, but to not lose ourselves in the connection with anything else. There's a sense of intuitive boundaries. So maybe some of the themes around this particular sextile as it's making itself known during this new moon, some things we might consider for this lunation is what dreams are ready to become real. What things have we been lightly playing with or putting on the back burner? And also, where might we need structure to protect our sensitivity? If there's any way that we're feeling zapped or drained, really maybe even integrating some kind of a self-care or a boundary structure that would be very fortuitous under this new moon. We also have, I'll get to it, a cardinal grand cross with some, there's so much going on in this chart, but let's start first with the opposition. There's an opposition there's an opposition of all those planets, that superstellium of the moon and Mercury and Mars and Venus and Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius. They're exactly opposite the conjunction of Jupiter and Sirius and Cancer. So here, this sense of expansion that Jupiter always brings, Jupiter and Cancer is especially about, expanding via growing emotionally and belonging, but also protection. And, Sirius, the central sun to our sun, this is about destiny level downloads, soul purpose, having intuitive hunches or things come through that are above and beyond linear space and time. But with the opposition, this dynamic of an opposition can bring a sense of tension, but the tension is really a break. It's offering us for a shift and a pivot or a breakthrough. So, the tension is between, if Capricorn is personal and collective duty, Cancer is emotional truth and safety. And I'm going to focus on Capricorn because this is about the new moon itself. And really, we'd be very well served here for things we wanted to see to really try to build structures that nourish instead of just simply strong arming something. We're going to be invited to really trust and look to our emotional wisdom. And when we look to our emotional wisdom, then we'll understand what type of actions we would be well served to take. We also have Eris conjunct Chiron and Aries as part of this cardinal grand cross. And so this energy is about, and this has been going on for a little bit, but there might be, if there's any kind of wounding around worthiness, belongingness, our voice, our identity, our autonomy. And there's potentially even this, Eris and Chiron together, there might be a flame of, rage is a strong word, but understanding the truth and being willing to embody the truth, and to do so because we understand that healing is inextricably linked and woven. And so Eris and Chiron and Aries are squaring Jupiter and Sirius and Cancer, and they're squaring that Capricorn Aquarius stellium. And Haumea in the sign of Libra is going to complete this grand cross. Haumea is the goddess that births things from her body. And in the sign of Libra, this is about birthing something that will bring a new harmonic of balance to our world. So Haumea in Libra really completes this grand cross, and it brings with it the missing piece to this challenge, which is justice and balance and heart-centered action, the high ideals of love and truth and peace and relational harmony. But also, this is not about choosing one axis over the other. This is not about holding polarized energy. This is about integrating it, right? This is about holding complexity without collapsing. But this is also why I mentioned this new moon may feel a little bit pressurized. But if we think about what pressure does, pressure creates form. Pressure is what helps this 3D reality to exist. And we're going to be invited to make conscious choices here, to break any old karmic patterns or loops and to plant the seeds. This is a very potent seeding time. New moons are always potent seeding times. I've said this a couple times. I hope that you can really start to feel that this particular new moon is off the charts. So let's go ahead and get to a meditation. Find somewhere where you can sit or lie, somewhere where you won't be disturbed for the next little bit of time, and somewhere where you can close your eyes. As you close your eyes, bring your awareness to your breathing and just take an easy, slightly deeper breath in through your nose. And if you can, bring all of your awareness to noticing what the experience of that inhale is like. And as you exhale, release the breath through your mouth. Take a little bit more time on that exhale. And again, stay connected. Notice how it feels to be in your body right now and just simply to breathe. Let's take a few more breaths. Inhale. Breathing in through your nose, easy, slightly deeper breath. Exhale. Release that breath through your mouth. Take your time and really experience what it feels like to breathe. Let's take 2 more breaths just like that. Easy breaths, not efforting too much, but bringing the power of our consciousness to the experience of the breath. And maybe even notice, even in these first 4 breaths, the body and the mind responding, relaxing, releasing. And you can continue if you'd like with the deeper breath if that feels nourishing for you, or you can just release and let the breath be however it chooses to flow. But I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness now to your physical body and to your energetic field. Just come present. And we're going to begin at the top of the head, and even if you want to, at the top of the energetic field, and start to do just a slow scan down through your head and the aura that exists around your head and down through your shoulders. And we're just noticing the field of light that the body always emits. But notice if there's some bright spots or some dark spots. Just notice any nuance. You might notice some tension in the body or some relaxedness. We're not trying to change anything here. We're just slowly allowing a scan to move down through the chest, down through the heart, down through the plexus and into the belly, down to the base of the spine, and continue down through your legs, just observing. And now I invite you to imagine that wherever you're seated or lying, directly in front of you is a pinpoint of blue light. And as you're sensing its presence and noticing it, it's beginning to expand. And if you feel comfortable, I invite this blue light to fill up your body and to fill up your energetic field. And this blue light carries with it all of those energetic signatures that we are just moving through with this new moon, especially the new moon energy, but it carries Sirius energy. It carries energy of all the planets as they're communicating and lighting up in this perfect way to support us in what's present and prescient. So first, just notice how this blue light looks. Notice if it's a light blue or a deep blue or an indigo blue or all of the above. And even see if you can start to connect to the vibration of this blue light. Notice how it feels. And connect to this notion that all the planets are aligning in this perfect harmonic to give humanity, ourselves included, precisely what we need at precisely the right time. And if that feels resonant for you, invite that light, that blue light, to nourish your cells and to really harmonize and balance all the aspects of your energetic field. And just imagine when we started with that scan, if there's anything that was a little bit wonky or out of balance in the body, that this blue light is just harmonizing it with the wisdom and intelligence of the stars, reminding you that you are star stuff, that you are so much more than what you see and feel, that you are energy and you are consciousness. And just allow yourself for a little bit of time here to receive that light and receive this upgrade, this attunement, this harmonization. This energy is providing information to support us in optimally working with the energetic of this new moon and of this lunar cycle. And as you're just sort of being imbued and basking in this light, I invite you to, in sync with this new moon or whatever you find this recording, to set one grounded intention. And maybe that intention is about transmuting or transforming energy or committing to something. There's no wrong intention, but whatever comes to mind, imagine that this intention is being rooted in your field and rooted in your body with this blue light. And see if you can, as you're maybe refining this intention, allow it to align simultaneously with your personal truth as well as with collective good. It doesn't mean the intention needs to serve only others, but see if you can find some way that the world will be served, well served, a better place. And maybe it's just simply because you're healthy and happy, that's fine too. But it's a powerful time for us to be simultaneously doing both, tending to ourselves and being aware that everything we do impacts everything. Something else you might consider is you're just basking in this blue light. Is what future am I quietly preparing for? Or where am I being asked to take action? Maybe courageous action, maybe just simply to lead by example, but to do so gently, wisely, and responsibly. And notice what comes up, and imagine that as you're just having these flashes of insights or inspirations, this blue light is infusing it into all that you are. And simultaneously, because this blue light holds all of the astrological aspects, it's beaming it out to the stars, to all those eyes and ears energetically that are listening to what you have to say, to what you want to create, to your vibration during this lunation. Wonderful. And now slowly this point of light is starting to call its light back unto itself. And so the point of light that was in front of you is slowly shrinking, leaving your field and coalescing into this pinpoint of light right in front of you. And then it disappears. And now just spend a few moments here feeling your energetic vibration. Notice if anything shifted in you. Notice if there's a sense, excuse me, of harmonization, attunement, alignment. And before we close this meditation, I want to remind us that this is a long game, new moon. This is about the ripple effect that will continue throughout this year, but this is a very potent seeding time. And this is about us individually and collectively learning how to build with care, learning how to build our world consciously from our heart and from our connection to the cosmos. Thank you all for joining me. I'm so grateful for this community of light. Every new and full moon, we're doing it. We're weaving a web of light. And so I'm so grateful to have you with me on this journey. And to the thousands and thousands of people in the hundreds of countries that show up to contribute. It's palpable. Quick little shout out, if you're not on my email list and you want to learn astrology, I'm going to be offering an astrology 101 course here sometime in the next, oh goodness, you'll hear about it during this lunar cycle for sure. So just make sure you're on my email list. I like to offer discount codes to folks who are on the list. And with that, have a blessed new moon, have a blessed lunar cycle. I'm super grateful for you. Bright blessings and so much love.